So guys, the UK government recently announced their 5-point plan to cut down legal migration to the UK, which is supposed to commence in spring 2024. A lot of you have been asking questions about this new policy. So they plan to ban care workers from bringing dependents to the UK. But does this involve nurses and doctors, or does it just affect just care assistants or senior care assistants? What about those that are already in the UK on skilled worker visas and are yet to invite their families on dependent visas? Does it mean they won't be able to invite their families from spring 2024? What about those that are on student visas and are planning to switch over to the health and care worker visas, but their dependents are already with them here in the UK? Does it mean their dependents won't be able to apply for a dependent visa? And if you are planning to invite your dependents on family visas, that's £38,700. Is it the total income combined for that family or for just one particular individual? So I've been making a lot of calls since this news aired, and I've been able to get some answers for you. That is what we're going to discuss in this video. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Scholastica, and on this channel I talk about travel abroad opportunities. So if you are someone that don't have the time to do the research and you don't want to spend your money on travel agents, then this is the right channel for you, because I cover everything: immigration, travel, nursing, lifestyle, how to find jobs in different countries, as well as how to adapt to that country. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, then stick around. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the latest UK immigration plan to stop legal migration to the UK in 2024. So we all know that the UK government has been under a lot of pressure because of the numbers of people that have migrated to the UK within the past year. Now, a statistics was released recently, and in that statistics, it showed that the highest number of skilled worker visas was given to those coming to the UK on health and care worker visas. And when they looked deeper into that statistics, they also found out that although the majority of people are coming on health and care worker visas, those other dependents that they are bringing with them accounted for more visas. So let's say, for example, they are giving out 100,000 care worker visas. For those 100,000 workers, they had to approve over 150,000 dependent visas. And then looking further into the statistics also shows that only 25% of these dependents were actively contributing to the UK economy, which was not what they wanted. So a lot of people were complaining about it because it seemed as if these dependents were taking over the public amenities that were supposed to be allocated to their own British people. So for example, this one skilled worker would have like maybe a wife and 4 children. Those children will be attending school free of charge. They would go and see the GP and get medications free of charge. And even there are times that the wife, which is the dependent of this skilled worker, would decide not to go to work and just stay at home to take care of the children. So after putting all that into consideration, they had to come up with this 5-point migration plan, which is aimed to reduce at least 300,000 people from coming over to the UK. So you ask me, what exactly are these plans? And the questions that I have, how am I going to get them answered? Because this plan is just all over the place. It's so vague, and I don't even know if I'm affected by this. So let's quickly have a summary of what these 5 points are, because there are a lot of videos out there already covering this whole thing. So if you want more detailed information about this, then you can watch other videos. This video is just targeted towards your questions, but it would not be nice for me to answer the questions without first running through what it's all about. So I'm just quickly going to give a summary of what this 5-point plan is, and then we can go ahead and answer your questions. So the first point is to end abuse of the health and care worker visas. And in order to do so, they are going to stop care workers from bringing their dependents to the UK. So some of you have asked, okay, they are going to stop people on health and care worker visas, but does this also include nurses? Does this also include doctors? So if you are a nurse or you are a doctor, this rule does not affect you. You can still bring your family, you can still bring your dependents over to the UK even after spring 2024. I hope that answers your questions, because even after making this call, I had to go and do more research about it, and it's even stated there in the NHS employers website that nurses and doctors are not affected by these new rules. Just care assistants, senior care assistants, those are the people that are really being affected. So apart from that, they will also require care firms in England to be regulated by the Care Quality Commission in order for them to be eligible to sponsor visas. This commission is just going to ensure that these jobs that these employers are putting out there, they are really jobs available for these workers that they are planning to bring in. So they are going to be looking at a lot of things, like can this employer actually pay the salary that they are proposing? Can they really cater for this number of workers? So do they really have the capacity to sponsor these workers that they are bringing over to the UK? So all these things are going to be put under consideration before CQC is going to give them the go-ahead to sponsor people over to the UK. Apart from that, the IHS fee, which is like the health insurance, is going to be increased by 66% from £624 to £1,035 per person per year. Now, the good thing about that is that those on health and care worker visas are exempted from paying the IHS fee. So the second point in this 5-point immigration plan is to increase the minimum salary threshold to £38,700 for those coming to the UK on skilled worker visas. And again, those that are applying for health and care worker visas are exempted from this. This is because the UK government realized that the NHS depends a lot on overseas workers to cover their shortages. And they know that if they include those coming to the UK on health and care worker visas, their employers are going to struggle to be able to meet up with the minimum salary threshold. So if you are a nurse, if you are a doctor, if you are a care assistant, a senior care assistant coming to the UK on a health and care worker visa, you are exempted from that £38,700 minimum salary threshold. I hope that answers your question. The third point is to remove the 20% salary discount for those occupations that are in the shortage occupation list. In fact, they actually have a whole plan to go through that shortage occupation list again, remove some occupations from that list, and then come up with a new immigration salary list with a reduced number of occupations. So currently, the shortage occupation list came into play because a lot of employers were struggling to get British workers to cover these occupations, so they had to rely on overseas workers to come over to the UK. But then employers started to complain about the whole UK economic crisis. So this 20% salary discount came into play. So the fourth point is to ensure that people only bring in dependents that they can cater for financially by increasing the minimum salary threshold for those applying for family visas to £38,700 from £18,600. So this is where most of the confusion is, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. The fifth point is targeted towards students. So they are going to be reviewing the graduate route. According to the UK government, their aim is to ensure that those coming to the UK on student visas are those that can actually contribute to the UK's economy, so that everything will be in the best interest of the UK and their educational system. Okay, so that's the summary of the whole 5-point plan. Now let's answer your questions. Now the first question is, this ban on people that are coming to the UK on health and care worker visas, does it affect just care assistants, or are nurses and doctors also included? Unfortunately, this only affects care assistants, senior care assistants. So if you are a nurse, if you are a doctor and you are planning to come to the UK, you can still come with your dependents. You can still invite your dependents. This just affects care assistants. Now the second question is for those that are here on student visas. So if you are here with your partner and you have plans to switch over to the health and care worker visa later in the future, maybe after your studies, then unfortunately this is going to affect you because you are on a different visa right now. You are on a tier 4 student visa. By the time you want to switch over to the health and care worker visa, it's assumed that you are just applying for this visa newly. So all these restrictions are going to apply to you as well. Even those that are already in the UK on skilled worker visas and they are planning to renew their visa after the first 3 years, this £38,700 unfortunately we have to apply to you as well. Now remember that if you are on a health and care worker visa, you are exempted from this £38,700 minimum salary threshold. But if you are on a student visa and maybe you don't even want to be a care assistant, you don't want to apply for the health and care workers visa, you want to apply for other jobs, you have to get a job that will meet this £38,700. So if you are a student, you are probably wondering, what are my options? If you are in the UK right now with your dependent, I'm going to advise you, tell your dependent to get a job as soon as possible. Let he or she get his own certificate of sponsorship and get his own health and care worker visa. So he's not going to be under you as your dependent anymore. He's going to be standing on his own. Now, if you feel like that is not an option that you would like to take, then you can tell your dependent, you can tell your husband or your wife to just keep on working. Work as much as you can. Because they are on a dependent visa, they don't have any restrictions to their visa right now. So they can work 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days, even 7 days a week. Nobody is going to ask them why you are working that much. That 20 hours work restriction does not apply to them. So you can tell them to go and work back to back, work and save as much money as possible, so that by the time you finish your school, you can look at other countries. Now, in my own opinion, I don't think that the UK is going to ask those dependents that are here already to leave. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, they are already here. It's not as if they are coming to the UK newly. They are already here as your dependents. So I don't think they are going to tell them to leave. But because you are still on a student visa and you are planning to apply for a new visa, these restrictions is going to apply to you as well. So this next question is for those people that are on health and care worker visas that this whole thing is really affecting, but they are here alone and they have plans to later go back to their country and bring their families over. So these are the care assistants, the senior care assistants that don't have enough money to sponsor their dependents yet. So they want to work for like the next 6 months or so to raise funds and then go back and bring your family over. Now, will you still be able to do that after spring 2024? Now, although it is not set in stone yet, but the immigration officer I spoke with was of the opinion that you will not be able to bring in your husband, your wife, your children as your dependents after spring 2024. Remember, guys, that the whole idea of this ban was to prevent care workers from bringing in too many dependents in the first place. So even though you already have a job here, you feel like you are settled here already and you want to make UK your home, you cannot go and bring your dependents to come and live with you in the UK. So my advice is that if you have plans to bring your family over to the UK, make haste and go and do so now. Because even though it is not really stated clearly in the government website that this is what they mean by that statement, it's better to be safe than be sorry. So let's talk about bringing your family over to the UK on a family visa, because I feel like there's a little bit of confusion around this family visa and what this whole 38,700 minimum salary threshold is all about. And I feel like people are confusing the family visa for the dependent visa. Now, the difference between the family visa and the dependent visa is that if you are on a dependent visa, it means that your partner is under a points-based visa. While on the other hand, if you are coming to the UK on a family visa, it means that your partner is a British citizen or a British resident. So this can also be related to those people that are on skilled worker visas, but then they already got their ILR, so they already have their indefinite leave to remain and are already settled in the UK. If they want to bring their family over, they can invite them on family visas. And guys, you should also be aware that this minimum salary threshold does not just affect those on skilled workers visa only. It also affects their own British citizens, their own residents in the UK that cannot afford that £38,700. So let's say, for example, a normal British guy travels abroad, falls in love with a girl, and then gets married and wants to bring that girl over to come and live with him in the UK. He cannot do that unless he meets up with a minimum salary threshold of £38,700 per year. So this means that even if you were planning to remain in the UK alone, get your ILR or get your British citizenship, and then invite your family over, you still cannot invite them over unless you meet up with this £38,700. Now, there's another question. This £38,700, is it a single individual earning that amount, or is it the total income of the family put together? Now, if you go to the UK government website, you'll find out that previously the financial requirement for family visa approval was £18,600 as a family income. So that means that if you are bringing your partner over to the UK, two of you combined need to earn at least £18,600. Now, if you are going to be adding children to that equation, it means that the money that you need is going to be higher. So that £18,700 covers just husband and wife. Now, this same £18,600 is going to be increased to £38,700. So that means that it is not one single individual earning £38,700. It is actually a combined effort of the two parties. So husband and wife has to come together to earn at least £38,700. And if you are going to be adding children to your family visa, then you have to increase the minimum salary threshold that you are going to apply with. I hope that makes sense, because this is my own interpretation of this whole £38,700 minimum threshold, because I'm of the opinion that if they have been accepting £18,600 at a combined effort, and now they are planning to increase that £18,700 to £38,700, they should also accept it as a combined effort and not an individual person earning that amount alone. Anyway, there are different schools of thought about this whole thing. I would say keep your eyes on the news, keep on checking the UK government website for recent information, and if I get any other new information, I'm going to come and let you guys know. So if you've watched this video to this point and you enjoyed this video, if you gained any value from this video at all, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share this video to as many people as you think would benefit from the video. Those people that have these questions at the back of their head, share this video to them so that they will at least have an idea of what to expect, and they will know how to move forward in the future. So guys, like I said before in the previous video when I talked about this whole dependent thing, I told you guys to have a second plan, have a plan B. I'm still going to say that again. If you are a nurse, go and get registered in another country. Even if you don't plan to move to that country yet, get your USRN registration, get Canadian registration, or get Australian registration, just as a backup plan, because UK, I don't even trust them when it comes to all these rules and regulations. They can just decide to wake up one day and pass another rule and say this time nurses are affected, so nurses can no longer bring dependents. So I would say have a backup plan so you would not be disappointed at the end of the day. And for those care assistants that this new immigration rules are going to affect, I really feel very, very bad for you guys. I know it's very discouraging, but I'm going to say that you guys should not be discouraged. There is always a way to get out of every situation. I already gave you guys options that you can consider. If you are watching this video and you also have other options that you would like people to consider, please leave it in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching this video to this point. I love you guys. Until next time, stay fabulous. Bye.